touch on that, please.
One way to truly,
because she's truly a godsend for you, right? Right. In the word. Yeah. So saying, sorry. No problem.
I guess one way to really think about, with God is, every single time he's been a godsend, right? He's always placed these also like stories in my life, right? I had this crazy story of how I started my career, being stuck in a German, 5-star hotel near the airport, with no money, like as a 16-year-old kid. I remember I cried on the phone talking to my mom, like, because I was so scared. 16-year-old kid, and then also like meeting my wife was such a intense, like, crazy story too. Like we could honestly, like, just the, like, how we met and then how we started our relationship. Like, I love telling that story because it's also, reflecting on it now, it's a reflection of God and what He's provided, right? Like, it could be the start of a Korean drama, right? So to begin with, I love telling this story. So this was during Little Meats days when I was doing the underground supper clubs. I was cooking outside with another chef, and where Little Meats was this very cool collective of work, live spaces. And so there's a lot of creatives there, people who work as well as live there, and we're using the common area to cook. And I see this girl walking by, and she catches my attention. I'm like, oh, I've never seen her before. But I'm trying not to burn the chicken, right? I'm like focusing on the food, but like in the corner of my eye, I see this girl. And I'm like, I'm trying to do both.
Too funny,
and she walks by, and then so later on, I start asking around, like, oh, do you guys know who that was?
Stuck in your mind the whole
right?
time.
And so word gets around, and I eventually find out who she was through mutual friend. She's like, oh my gosh, that's Ed's sister. And Ed was my brother-in-law, was an editor at one of the lofts, like a couple doors down, or like not a couple doors down, but a little bit away, but in the same complex. And he was like, we're all like friendly with each other, so we all know each other. And so he finds out that I was interested in his sister.
Because you didn't know about his sister.
Yeah, and like me and Ed, we just like kind of knew each other. We weren't like friends.
Like that,
And so like a couple days later, he like comes up to me. He's like, oh, so I hear you're interested in my sister. And then I was like so taken aback. I'm like, I don't know if this is like a scary thing right now or like a good thing. And then he just starts laughing, and then and so like he just kind of like, I thought he just kind of brushed it off, but turned out he texted her, sending her my Instagram profile. It's like saying, hey, what do you think of this guy? And I think at that point he was like, actually, oh, like Steven's actually a good guy, like, what do you think?
So you already passed that first level right there.
Yeah,
right. Brothers approval.
I got really lucky with Ed just liking me off the bat like that. And so she had texted him back, saying like, oh, he's cute.
Oh, snap.
Right? And that was in October of 2015, and she was actually just visiting for a couple days, and she's from Seattle, so she went back, and so I never got a chance to like actually meet her. A couple months later, she actually comes down to LA again to visit her brothers, and it was for her birthday. And so all the mutual like friends at Lacey, which is the live work area, they were all trying to like play matchmaker, right?
You had a squad, man.
We had a squad trying to put us together.
Awesome, dude. Okay.
And so she invited me to her birthday dinner because her brothers were also like asking her like, hey, or they weren't asking her to, they asked her, do you want to?
Okay.
And she's like, oh, okay, right? And so like now it's building up, like, oh shit,
how are you feeling at this point? Seriously,
so I drove two people like who are all the mutual friends there, and they're like asking me like, oh my god, like, how do you feel? Like,
yeah, bro, you're processing all this on the go, like, right? On the fly.
And then right before that, I actually had just done a private catering event.
Oh my gosh.
And then
you're pretty tired too. You're pretty.
So I was like just focused on that all day, and then I picked them up, and then we drove to the restaurant, and then right when they asked me, it kind of hits me. Then I start getting nervous, and like I was like,
the butterflies.
The butterflies. I like started going, stammering and stuff, and when we got introduced, it was kind of like awkward at first, right? Because we know we're like being pushed to each other, and obviously
I can't even imagine.
Yeah, and obviously I wanted it. Yeah, right?
That's what's so funny.
Yeah, but it's like I'm just very nervous.
Yeah.
But then we hit it off, and we spoke for a couple hours that night, and then the next day I'm like trying to figure out how do we see each other again, and so
because she's long distance.
Yeah, and so I get some of the mutual friends to set it up.
Squad,
like right. So shout out to Clara and Dan who like helped set this up, right? And so we get another group dinner going, and then they make us sit next to each other, right, facing each other, and so that night too we hang out for a couple more hours, and the third day, her last day, I asked her out on a date.
Oh wow! And third time's a charm.
Yeah. So then I asked her out. I brought out all the big guns. I took her to the hotel where I used to work, SLS.
No doubt that connect.
And then all the
you pulled out all the strings.
I pulled out all the strings and my connections, and like obviously everyone knows me there, and they're like,
Of course, yeah.
And later I found out she like obviously loved that, being able to see like how much people like actually remembered me,
your impact on them,
and cared for them, and they obviously loved me, I loved them, like working together, former coworkers, because it could also have been like, oh hey, long time no see, but then it was actually like
there's that history
like I loved working there, I loved everyone working there, and she saw that showed, and it showed that I was a very big people person, like I have a big heart for people. And
attraction.
After that, we had lunch right there, and then I was supposed to drive her to the airport. So I drive her to the airport.
Oh, you saw her every day, bro. You maximized.
Yeah, I maximized it. Yeah.
Oh, respect. Yeah.
So I drove her to the airport. Lo and behold, her flight gets delayed.
Oh my Lord.
So now, exactly, that was literally God telling us to get closer, and we spent. This is the Burbank Bob Hope Airport. We're on the roof of the parking lot watching the sunset.
My damn, this K-drama just is getting better and better.
We're just talking and talking and talking. I take her down again. Her flight gets delayed again. What? So we go back to my car, and we open up the sunroof, just staring. Now it's nighttime. We're just staring at the stars and just talking and talking, and that's when we really, really got to know each other on a really very deep level, because that was 6 hours of us just in the car waiting
Bob Hope Airport.
At Bob Hope Airport,
waiting for her damn
waiting for her flight.
Oh my god!
And finally, take her down. She leaves. We have our first kiss. Right.
I didn't hear this part off camera. But okay.
Right at the security. Where they check your bags and stuff. Like right before she goes in, I snuck a quick kiss in.
You're not the type to do PDA. I feel like too,
man. that was my first kiss actually.
Yo.
Yeah, I'm a very shy guy.
Okay, drama, bro.
Yeah. Very, very.
Anyway, this is a beautiful love
story. Very hopeless romantic level. Yeah, K drama.
A rom-com.
And so that 3-day period, we spent 19 hours together. 19 hours, and that really is what made us be intentional with our relationship. We knew we were in it for the long run after that. We knew, okay, hey, let's take this relationship seriously, because we want to, right? Otherwise, then what's the point? What's the point of casually dating? For us, the intention was marriage, right? And
from the beginning.
And so we actually we're very quick about it. We got engaged 7.5 months into the relationship, or
that's pretty
just
quick,
7
right?
months about, yeah. And then we got married almost a year later. And then the timing worked out where she moved down for she got accepted at Loma Linda for physician assistant school, and so we got married. She started school, so right off the bat, it worked out with her moving down from Seattle.
I was gonna say, because it was long distance technically.
It was long distance for a little over a year, and then
that must have been not easy.
But then we also then had a long distance weekend marriage because Loma Linda's out towards Riverside.
So it didn't end there.
Yeah, so we had a weekend marriage where I would go every weekend, or she would come home on the weekends for 2 years, about. And only at the end of last year, right, she got a job here and she moved back home. Or she moved back home first. She had to take her exam to officially become certified, and then she could start looking for jobs. So then she got a job at the end of last year here in Los Angeles. So it's been almost a year. We've been like full-time living together.